Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the movies. And we have moved, but still getting a few stray things today, if it isn't torn down yet. So today we had a big full night after moving and being exhausted of watching Chucky.
Yeah, and then I came in to do the review, and what the fuck are you doing, Soph? You're just fucking sitting there sleeping.
I was
You
sound
look like
asleep.
a fucking wax figure out of House of fucking Wax with Vincent fucking Price.
Okay, no more
and it's
effings.
like, what the fuck?
Oh God, too many F words.
Fuck.
And then we had to watch the two episodes because remember, American Horror Story.
Oh, I didn't watch them yet.
I did. I got up in the middle of the night because it was noisy.
But how could it be noisy? It's quiet time.
Somebody was snoring.
Oh.
And I couldn't sleep. And so I woke up, made some coffee, had some cream of wheat, and
What else did you do?
I watched the two episodes.
Did you go to the bathroom? Did you?
Let's not.
Did you?
do
Well,
that.
you're just giving all this information that nobody gives a fuck about.
Well, I watched American Horror Story in the middle of the night, both episodes, but it was fun.
Really?
Anyway, so, and then I went back to sleep on the floor on a blanket.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about Chucky.
Okay,
This
Chucky.
is the 5th episode of Chucky, so there's only 3 left.
Oh.
I guess if it's going to have 8 episodes just like the first season, which to me, I really think it should have like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 more episodes. Not just 3 more. You know, and it just shows, you know, they got to rush through things like they rushed with the bully storyline, and now there's this little story with him where, oh no, his body's missing. And it's like, wow, that's an interesting story. Like, it's like, you know, I missed when the story was about him and he's like a bully and he's evil. And like that was like the story for like 2 minutes, so. But this episode's called Doll on Doll. Obviously, it's a sexual reference. That they never do that. It's actually doll on doll fighting, because it starts off with what you thought would be a very climactic scene with the nice Chucky, where this Chucky has been brainwashed, and he's fighting with the big bulky Chucky, which I really love that idea.
And it had a different voice, so do you think that the same actor played that voice too?
Safi, we already talked about this.
We did?
Jesus. Yeah, it is the same voice.
Wow.
Okay, Safi.
Okay.
He's an actor.
You did a really good job, because it sounds like a completely different person.
An actor can act,
Lower,
Safi.
darker,
Remember when actors acted, Safi?
I don't know.
Remember when they weren't...
I haven't seen much of that lately.
Yeah, usually nowadays they're just segregated into what they are in real life. Like, that's what it's all about now. It's no longer about acting, it's about, are you this type of person? Okay, you can only play this type of character. Are you this person? Oh, you can only play this type of character.
But the two roommates, Lexi and Meg?
Her name is Nadine.
Nadine?
Yeah, which I thought her name was Megan.
Yeah.
Because she looks like a Megan.
Yeah.
She looks like
I'm shocked.
What do you think she looks like, Safi? Do you think
Molly,
like Molly Ringworm?
I don't know about that. She just looks like a Molly.
Oh, really?
But anyway, I think they're
What
the
else?
best actors. I guess if you don't count the Tilly girls. Because for last night's episode, they had both sides of the story. They showed both. So they showed the school, or whatever it is, detention center.
It's called the home. What was it called? The home for the Christ and Incarnate Lord.
Something like that. But it's really hard to remember because it's so weird. And then the other one was Tiffany and her daughter and son who came to visit, and then her sister's there, sticking around because she's been so weird and doing weird things and trying to kill people. So, they showed both sides, which was nice.
Yeah, now they're gonna cut back and forth, which honestly, I just like to watch the main storyline. I really don't want to watch the other one at all.
I agree, but they did have the girl puppet in the girl storyline, and
yeah, that was good.
I thought that was interesting and fun.
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, like if they're not going to come together, which I really don't see how they could.
I think they are, though.
It's not really worth it. Because, like last season, it was clear. They're going to come together. You're going to have where Tiffany comes to town at the end, and she's going to do some sort of a movie screening, and she's there, and of course it's part of Chucky's plan, and they're working together and everything. But in this, it doesn't really seem like she's ever going to be at the home for the Christ of Incarnate Lord, or whatever the fuck that is.
Well, I thought I saw the son or the daughter.
The son?
Her
Which
son
one?
or daughter at the place. At the Incarnate Lord place.
I don't know.
Like in, little flashes of shows yet to come.
Oh, well, I haven't seen that. I didn't, for some reason, when I watched it on Hulu, they didn't show any trailer. In fact, they cut it off very abruptly at the end, and I don't think I even saw the ending, so I think I saw what you're referring to, where you said that they cut off the ending.
Yeah.
The last thing that I saw was, well, okay, let's just go through the episode.
Okay.
So, first off, you had the fight, which I was talking about, and you rudely interrupted me, like a fucking
Marco,
typical,
please stop with the
typical
effing.
Safi. Why, Safi?
Because.
Well, fuck that shit.
Oh,
So,
God.
you had this fight, and it was a pretty good fight, but it started off so weirdly, where it's just like right into the action, and it's like things are already happening, people are already fighting each other. It didn't really feel like a proper scene. It felt like another rushed thing. But I did end up liking it, especially the fact that good Chucky, it seems like he's going to be a really good character. To me, he's almost a better character than any other Chucky, because that was the whole draw of the first season for me, was that I thought the show was going to be about, you have this Chucky doll, and he loves doing evil, and then he sees this kid, and he's got all these problems, and so he's like, oh, I'm going to help this kid defeat all these evil people. Like, that's what I thought that story was going to be, and then it turned into something else entirely, where you have Junior, and he's like a sleepwalking Richard Ramirez or something, and that was trash. So it started off pretty good, and then there's this weird drama going on with Jake and Devin, and they're having this little tassel where Devin is like, I don't like Chucky, I don't care if he's good, we're not going to help him or do anything with him. And it's like, okay. And then you have Jake, and he's like, I don't know, I think he's like in love with Chucky. I think he's in love with the good Chucky, the good guy doll. He's an actual good guy doll. So, I did kind of like the idea that, like, they're splitting up into factions. And you have, like, one faction, which is Jake and Nadine.
I just can't believe her name is Nadine.
She's not a Nadine, Safi.
I was going to say, I know a Nadine.
Yeah, your fucking mom's a Nadine.
No, my mom was not Nadine.
Well, Safi, speak up or forever hold your Nadine. Oh, no. So then you have Lexi and Devin, and they do not want to trust the Chucky, the good Chucky, And so I kind of really like that idea that they split off into these factions and that you had each of them trying to accomplish their goal, where Jake and Nadine, they're trying to have good guy Chucky help them, and that's their big plan.
Right.
And then Devin and Lexi, they're investigating the phone to see if there's any hints on there, of which there are, and then they investigate what's going on with that. So you have those two storylines going on. I thoroughly enjoyed both of them. In fact, I really liked this episode. I really liked this season, which is pretty funny, because I hated last season. There are some problems. And, there are 3 big, agenda moments in this episode. Safi, what are they? Come on.
Agenda moments?
Yeah, come on. Let's talk about agendas.
I don't know.
Because let's just get them out of the way.
Attention to that.
Yeah, but they're right in front of you. They're right the fuck in front of you.
I don't know. Probably something between Jake and Devin.
No.
No.
So the first one.
Oh, the Bible thing.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there's this whole plot where the good guy Chucky, he crucifies the bulky Chucky.
Yeah. Right before he did it, he looked at the painting. They have Jesus on the cross,
and he got inspired.
Yeah. Inspired
to kill and to crucify Chucky, another Chucky. And so what happens is, the big brother, the brother from Ben and Arthur comes in, and he sees that Devin is taking the knives out of the Chucky doll, because I guess he's just gonna take him down and throw him out or something. And he gets upset because it's oh no.
He thinks Devin did it.
It must have been Devin, and Devin Oh, that's an act of blasphemy. Wah! And so you have all this, to do about that. And I thought that was hilarious, because it's who cares?
I know.
Who gives a fuck what he's doing? Who cares?
And his punishment was to read Leviticus. I really don't know enough about the inner chapters of the Bible to know what Leviticus is about.
Or care.
Well, it's just if you're watching a show like that and they name drop something like that, you're like, why Leviticus? Oh, well, I know.
Well, there's this line in it, and it said, you're not supposed to lay with a man like you do with a woman. And it's who cares? It's a fucking book.
Yeah, I know.
And Devin, it's a very cringeworthy scene, because it feels like, see, this is what I expected. I wanted there to be some sort of a conflict where the brother from Ben and Arthur would punish them for being gay or something. I just didn't expect it to happen in such a cringeworthy fashion. But Devin's just sitting there, and he's ripping out pages of the Bible. And he's not even doing it in a realistic way where he's reading and then ripping. He rips out the page with that one line, and then he's just ripping and ripping and ripping without even reading. And it just feels see, this is what I expected from this season. I expected cringeworthy fan fiction of I'm the creator, I don't think he's Christian. And so it's oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had a scene where we just tore pages from the Bible and just threw them all over the place? And so that felt it almost felt like the creator, it was like a self-insert where it's oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could sit there in front of a camera while Safi's sleeping. And, oh God, Safi, that's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing,
okay,
Safi, that you're doing that. You should be ashamed of yourself. So he's doing the Bible ripping crap. That was really bad. Of course, I didn't really care, though, because I really liked the episode. So, see, that's the thing that people don't realize, that I've said time and again, is that even if there are some cringeworthy agendas, if I enjoy something, I don't really care very much. Right. So this was an instance of that where it was like I didn't really care, except for in like one instance. And then they had another instance where, and you always have this on a woke show or movie, where you have a group of white people, and then you have the black woman. And the black woman is always somebody who pushes against the rules, and she's always someone who knows better, and she lectures the main people on how bad they are and how, we need to challenge the standard and everything. And they had that in this episode where, the teacher, the nice teacher, I like her character. I think she's cool. But now she's become like an agenda stereotype as Safi falls asleep again. And so she started saying, like, who cares about this fake crucifixion crap? Like, who cares? Mm-hmm. And then the big brother from Ben and Arthur and the white sister, they're like, having
a fit.
And then the psychiatrist from the first episode is like, and so they're having like panic attacks over like nothing, of like just it's just like, ugh. And this is what I expected though from the season, so we got a bit of that. And of course she lectures them and she's like, who cares? He's just being creative, blah 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 blah. And then she leaves and she's like, I'm not going, what did she say? She said, like, I'm not going to do this and that. When I became a sister, I wanted to do this and that. Mm-hmm. And it's just, like, really weird, unneeded, and God, Safi, you're so embarrassing.
Oh, come on, Marco, just
as
keep
a reviewer.
Move it along.
Well, what are you doing?
I'm listening to you.
You're falling asleep.
I'm tired.
From what?
Waking up in the middle of the night.
You didn't even do a review last night. You made me wait until the morning. So, that was another agenda moment. The last agenda moment came predictably from Glenda, and Tiffany, aka Jennifer. So, they had this little part where they're talking about going to get Glenda, and they start like talking about like her pronouns. And they start, like, saying, like, let's go get them. Oh, I hope that them is, let's go, we have to go get them now. Them. And they were saying it so much that you knew that they were trying to make a point to, like, brainwash the audience and to say, oh, okay, we can't call Glenda her now. We can only call her them. And it's like, fuck that shit. She's not a plural person. She's one person. She's a she, and he's a he, even though he's being played by a girl for some reason as well. And so that whole thing was the most cringeworthy part, because that was almost like the creator shouting at your face, you will call this person them. Them. And it's like, no, sorry. I agree with the bodyguard, the Chad bodyguard from last episode. He was right. You're wrong. So go jump off a cliff with the shitty-ass Seed of Chucky and all the other shitty-ass Child's Play movies, except for the first 4. So, what's next, Safi? Well, and you haven't really said anything because you're just...
Jennifer Tilly's house.
You're just sleeping.
They had, well, you know the number of the episode that this came from, but Jennifer Tilly there was a little doll, and it was at her house, but she was keeping it under lock and key. And
episode?
In this episode.
Which episode? I know.
This one. I
know all the episodes.
She was keeping this doll, which was a living doll. So there's another doll on doll, kind of, and in this cage. And then when she didn't want to hear it talk anymore, she covered it up like a bird or something. It was really weird. That was weird.
It was also like whatever happened to Baby Jane. And so I did like that part because I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting, learning that happened after Seed of Chucky. But as I said before, Seed of Chucky is trash. And all these storylines, they're not making Seed of Chucky any less trash. Like, that movie was so disappointing as a Child's Play fan. It was such a waste of time. It was such a joke. I mean, people talk about Halloween Resurrection being a joke. Oh. This movie is a joke. Seed of Chucky. And so I really don't like how they're like following that movie like it's like, to me, this whole show is almost like influenced entirely by Seed of Chucky. Except there were some really good parts in this episode where it reminded me a lot of part 1 and 2, where they had it's sort of like a creepy, suspenseful thing of like, where is the body of the bully? Where is the Chucky who's in charge, the Colonel? Where are all these other Chuckies? And I would also like to make a prediction, because originally, in the first Child's Play, Chucky was supposed to grow facial hair. Because remember how he's turning human? And so part of that was going to be him growing facial hair and stuff like that. Because he's turning human. So he's got to do that. But then they decided, no, we're not going to do that because it looks goofy. But I think that the Colonel will have a goatee or something. I think he will have facial hair, which I think that would be pretty cool. He could have like a Donald Pleasance look or something. What?
Well,
is that your only...
It looked good in Donald Pleasance because of Donald Pleasance, but I don't know about it looking good on anybody else.
Is that your comment for this review, Safi?
Yeah,
before you go to sleep again?
I'm trying not to.
Fucking nap time. This isn't your nap time. This is a review time.
I know, I'm trying.
Wake up. Get woke, Safi. Okay. So, there is some creepy stuff going on, though, where it's like, where are they? It was kind of actually effective. And it felt like, oh, see, this is the horror that I wanted in Chucky. This is, I want it to feel more like this and less like the Tiffany segments where it's just, oh my God, it's so funny.
Now she's wearing these low-cut bras where you practically see her whole boobs.
Well, that part's good because that fits with the character.
It does fit with her character a lot.
She's always been...
like
That's very much in line with her character, Safi.
I don't know.
What do you
I guess so.
What do you think about that?
She's running around in a bra.
Really?
All over the house.
Safi, how would you rate her bra on a scale of 1 to 10?
She had a very nice bra.
Really?
On.
How would you rate it?
I don't know. I guess I'd rank it up there.
Really?
During the show, she was looking at old episodes that she had.
Episodes?
Of other shows.
Episodes?
Yeah, she was, or a movie. I guess that thing with Jim Carrey, I don't know what movie that was, but she had done a movie with Jim Carrey, and she was entertaining herself by watching that. And it turns out, well, has anybody ever seen The Seed of Chucky? This is what Mark was talking about earlier, how they kind of brought this portion of the movie and of that movie. And she has this doll in a cage, and but you don't know that yet. She's depressed because Mika escaped. Glenn helped her escape in a van, and so she was very
with
depressed.
Kyle, who's apparently alive, which was complete trash. That pissed me off as well, if you guys remember. Yeah,
and then she wanted to know. She was trying to get her daughter and I guess the doll to tell her where Mika went, and they wanted to, and her daughter asked her what was it with her and that Mika, And then her sister was there too to keep an eye on her, it seemed like. And she didn't really, I don't think she did much acting. She really just acted like her sister, which she is. Her real sister.
Which I thought that was the biggest wasted opportunity of this episode, was the fact that you had Meg Tilly, and in this episode she's hardly even in it at all.
And she's pretty quiet.
It was very exciting last episode when she comes in, and it's like, oh wow, she's going to be a recurring character? Oh no. They're going to kill her off in 2 seconds. They're going to rush through that like they rush through everything else. And what happens in this episode? She gets killed off.
Yeah, it was very sad.
And that was terrible. So I didn't like that. So see, what I liked about this episode was the main story with the kids and Chucky at the home for the incarnate whatever the fuck. I like that story. I don't really care about the Tiffany and Hollywood story at all.
No.
But they do have the Seed of Chucky Tiffany doll, which I actually prefer how she looks in Seed of Chucky, so I like that. In fact, I don't know, I never ranked the Chucky dolls. You never ranked them either.
I don't, well...
because you have each one from each movie. I think the first one looks great.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Seed of Chucky looks amazing. And I think that Tiffany and Seed of Chucky is really good too. So,
wow.
That is one thing. That's why I was excited about Seed of Chucky, is because as a kid, I would always see those images of him and I thought, ooh, he looks pretty cool. But it was following the kind of trend. Remember that, Safi? Remember the trend of, like, they took these horror characters,
mm-hmm.
and in order to make them look interesting, they made their masks torn up and grimy and worn down. Like with Michael Myers, Rube Zombie was like, it would be really interesting with Michael Myers. His mask would not be that way in all those years. It would rot, and so let's make it look like that. And then Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th. Let's make his mask look like it's old and ooh and oh. And then Freddy Krueger. Instead of Freddy Krueger looking like a pepperoni pizza from Papa John's, let's make him look like a burn victim, because that's what he is. Oh, wow. So creative. And they did that for Chucky, too. It's like, oh, wow. We're following the continuity. Chucky is now ripped to shreds, and he's got staples and stuff, and he looks very scary. And he did. He looked really cool. And then the movie is complete trash. So...
You thought that movie.
Yeah, Seed of Chucky.
Oh, yeah.
No, this was good. I would give... Well, we'll get to the grade as soon as we finish with the plot. So then they have this thing where I really like this, where they took the good guy Chucky, who he was feeling very sad because he learns who he is and everything. And see, I really like this Chucky. I think he's really cool. He could either be... I think they're trying to make you think that he's pulling some sort of a spy gag. That,
So, if he was, why?
Are you sleeping, Safi, again?
No!
Yeah,
Why would they be doing this kind of gag?
Because to spy on them and to make sure that they have... There's an inside Chucky. So that, he can fuck them up. But no, I really think that they turned him good, and that he's the good version of Chucky now, which I really like. I think that that's probably the best aspect of this whole season.
Well, I know when he, quote, killed or crucified the bad Chucky, that because of this training or conditioning he had, he puked immediately after it. So it's still there, and I'm wondering if it will go away, if it will reverse itself like...
Hopefully not.
I know. I just wondered that. I wondered that when he did that, because I don't. we saw this thing, similar technique in what's the name of that movie that you like so much?
A Clockwork Orange.
A Clockwork Orange,
well,
where they put drops on, and they showed this same thing. Put drops on his eyes, had the eyes propped open, and the bad guy was there, Malcolm McDowell, and they would show all these videos of things.
But in that movie, what ended up happening is people that he hurt in the beginning of the movie, they capture him, and they're like trying to torture him to death, and he just jumps out the window, and then yes, he does turn back to normal. And they sort of realize that, we shouldn't be trying to force people to change and try to, because they're going against his free will.
Yeah.
But with this, I don't know if it's the same with this, because, he's a doll.
That's right, and maybe the same rules won't apply.
And, Charles could have changed. He didn't have to be a killer. They had that whole weird thing in the first season where he kills his mom because the bad guy tells him to, and that was pretty weird and interesting, but they never really did anything else. So, his character is still really being developed. Like, they could have more scenes with him where they show, like, maybe there could be a version of him that turned good, and so maybe they could all turn good technically. And that would be a pretty interesting twist on things.
I don't know how they would do that, because it'd be like a global shift.
I don't know.
Which would cover multiple dolls.
Because we don't know how many Chuckies there are.
That's right, and they even bring that up in the episode. We don't know how many Chuckies there are, because they figured out this bad Chucky was the one that killed the bully. And then this good Chucky, they thought it was him, but then when they saw the evidence of both, then they figured out.
So, as I was trying to say 5 minutes ago, they took the good guy Chucky and they baptized him because he was having an identity crisis, and so they wanted to make him turn good, like really inside as well. Like he was feeling pretty bad. And so I really liked that storyline a lot too. And it was funny because then you have Devin and Lexi, and they're like, yeah.
Well, it was mostly
from
Devin.
afar. Yeah, Devin.
Lexi was kind of in a PTSD stage. She was also, I think, trying not to take any more drugs, and so I think she was having a little bit of withdrawal.
Yeah, they ended up concluding the storyline with the drug addiction this is another rushed thing where she, and really, I think that the reason why this is so rushed is because the guy who's doing this show, he always did movies, and so, movies you have to rush,
right.
And so, he's rushing naturally for the TV show.
Yeah.
And I think that he needs to switch up his mindset, and he needs to extend things so that they can really play out and have the most benefit that you can get from them. Because as I've said before many times, that storyline last season with Jake being a killer was wasted. The storyline with the buff dad fighting with Chucky and Junior was wasted. Mm-hmm. And then the story this season with the bully was wasted. And a lot of wasted stories that just go like in 2 seconds they're gone. And that's fine because I enjoy it, but still at the same time it's like we could be getting more of this, Safi. We could have gotten more of this, and instead we're getting less.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Because that's the current quota with TV shows now, is that everything has to be short.
And that's terrible because they're only punishing themselves, not just the people who are watching the show.
Like, TV shows are no longer long-form storytelling. Like, that's the whole reason TV shows exist, is so that you can have long-form storytelling. But oh no, not anymore.
But the problem with that is, and we brought it up before, was that if you don't have very many episodes, there is no room for error and no room for a bad episode.
And we already had one. We had two. We had the first episode, which was trash, and then we had last episode, which was weird and very, very, like, all over the place, but it was okay. I would watch it again.
Yeah. And this episode was really exceptional.
Yeah, this episode was really, really good. We really are doing a disservice to the episode by only talking about the bad, but, in terms of the good, there was another great storyline where Lexi and Nadine, Nadine helps Lexi with the drug thing, and they have a whole great scene with that, and it's like, see, this just shows how they really are the two best actors on the whole show.
Yeah. Besides
Chucky himself. And, like, they were giving, like, a perfect performance in that scene to where it's like, oh, you could give like, an Emmy for acting for that scene for both of them, instead of, like, nominating Kim from Better Call Saul for crying on a bus. Right, Safi?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. At the airport.
No, she was in the fucking bus.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? That whole fucking
the airport
Emmy bait scene? Remember that Emmy bait scene where she's sitting there alone, and it's black and white, and it's like, oh my god, the pretentiousness with this shit. This shitty-ass Better Call Saul. Ugh. And Safi, can you believe that we're in a universe where the season of Better Call Saul was trash, but then the season of Chucky was good?
Yeah.
Like, that's just bizarre.
That is bizarre.
Like, because this Chucky season, this might be the best show that I've seen the whole year.
Yeah.
Like, it might be
even before.
Before?
Yeah, the last season.
Ugh.
Don't you think this episode was, I mean, there was a lot more action and...
What do you mean? I'm saying this season 2 is the best TV show of the whole year. New TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You were starting to say...
Forget about Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Better Call Saul is the worst thing to ever happen in TV history.
Oh, it's sad.
Season 6. Definitely. And I will never stop talking about how terrible that was, because you had all these fanboys who acted like it was a masterpiece, and they're all a bunch of fucking liars. That's for damn sure. So
it's ridiculous.
You would agree with that, Safi?
Yeah, I would agree. It's just, even just to think about it, just saying the words.
Yeah, just saying Better Call Saul.
It's mind-boggling. This is Chucky.
We should start chanting it.
It's a horror story. And it's not, I don't know. Do you think they spend as much money to make Chucky as they do Better Call Saul?
I don't know.
Do you think it's even? I don't know.
Well, with Chucky, you have the effects, which costs quite a bit.
Okay.
But are very good. Mm-hmm. But then with Better Call Saul, you have all those actors who were in Breaking Bad, so that their salaries probably add up. So I don't know. I would say probably Better Call Saul cost more, unfortunately, to make their shitty ass final rushed piece of shit season.
And I know it sounds like Marco. It's so easy for him to say those words, but he really wishes he didn't have to say them.
No, there's nothing wrong with them at all. It's the same thing like in this Chucky episode where you have Devin and it's like, oh no, Devin is he's crucifying a Chucky doll. Oh no. And it's like, who cares? And it's the same thing with this, where it's like, who cares? Like, what, just because your mommy teachers from the 3rd grade told you you're not allowed to say certain words means they're bad words? Like, fuck off. See, and with this episode too, they had a story where it was actually very creepy, and they found they were looking through the phone, Chucky's phone, and seeing these pictures. And it actually was very creepy, seeing these pictures of, like, a Chucky, and he's, like, standing in front of these settings. And it is kind of funny looking, but it's kind of creepy at the same time. Because you think about, what if this was real and you did know Chucky is the person who killed all these people? It was very creepy. And so I really like that. And Devin and Lexi, they go off and look to see where that leads. It's like a trail of breadcrumbs. And what did it lead to, Safi? Because that's where it cut off. I saw the body of the bully, but then it cut off right there. What happened after that, Safi? Was that the end? Safi?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm really tired.
From Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. What happened?
I don't think very much happened. They didn't show the priest
Safi,
again.
Damn you.
They didn't show
at the very end. The very end. Because I saw the body of the bully, and that's when it cut off.
I don't know what they were doing. They had some kind of liquid or something, and they were putting it on the floor, and they were outside.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
It was a little bit confusing because they kind of jumped from two completely different areas of the place.
Because I was watching it and it cut right off when that came up. So now I can see what you're saying about the ending cutting off.
Well, I had trouble with the American Horror Story. Did the same thing, and really abruptly. And I didn't even know. I thought, what did they do? Flip to the end of the second one? I haven't even seen the second. I just finished watching the first episode.
Safi, are you ready to watch?
And then all of a sudden, it seemed like they jumped to the end of the second one, and I'm like, what happened to it? It disappeared. I'm like, oh my God.
Safi, are you ready to talk about Gino? Is Gino?
He had a little tantrum again.
Oh no!
He also saw a vision. Remember, we're going to be talking about this, but remember, American Horror Story usually has some kind of supernatural bent to it, somewhere in any of.
And they finally have that.
They finally have them. And
we did see that.
Clue. It refers to the tarot cards. That's all.
I know that, Safi. I saw it in the trailer.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't see the trailer.
So I would rate this episode. I give it an A.
Yeah, I would too.
Even though I didn't like the Tiffany part at all.
Yeah, she was weird
especially that she finally tells Glenn and Glenda about
their origins,
who he and her were, and then she takes out the Glenn doll, and that was weird. I don't know where this is going with that crap.
I don't either, but I think they meet up at that place.
And Glenn still looks like trash. Like, Safi, that doll is just complete trash.
I don't mind it.
But it's just
so
like
big.
Chucky looks awesome, Tiffany looks awesome, and then you have Glenn, and he looks like trash. He looks like an emo boy. He looks like some sort of a weird Tumblr fan fiction Chucky side character. He does not look like a good character. I wish, in fact, talking about all these revamps of these characters' looks, I think that they should give Glenn a makeover.
Yeah, they should have.
They should make him look different.
Yeah,
for this show.
They could have done that easily, because when was that between? How many episodes? How many movies were there between the Seed of Chucky and this season, second season of this show? How many years?
Well, you had the two movies. You had Curse and Cult, and then you had the first season. So that would be like three things.
So within that much time, which had to been like 6 years, 5. I don't know.
I think it's a lot more than that.
Okay, well, wasn't that 2007? So yeah, it would have been 10. I don't know, but probably not that much. At least maybe 8, maybe 5, 6. I don't know. But anyway, that's enough years to have been able to given him a makeover, and I don't think it would have made a difference.
I think they should have made it part of the story. Like, Glenn would see the doll, and then he would be like, oh, what's this? I used to look like this. And then she gives it, and then he or she would give it a makeover. I think that would be cool.
That would have been good. They could have done that. That would have been interesting.
They could still probably do that.
Yes, they could.
But overall, I really liked the episode. There was a lot of fun stuff. It was great to actually watch something horror-related, since we haven't been able to really watch much in the past couple of days. So this was very fun to watch. In fact, I almost thought it was like this should have been aired on Halloween, because it would have been like the perfect Halloween-y
It would have, and
thing.
everybody would have been in by then too.
And so I give it an A. So F off. I liked the episode.
Yeah, I did too.
And I liked the season. It's way better than Better Call Saul. Safi, start chanting.
No, I'm
Do the
too tired.
do the
I'm
finger
starving.
guns. Do the finger guns. Go pew 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 pew, and then blow on it. And then what was the line? Nippy was never real. Yeah, like.
Nippy was never real, was he?
Okay.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Oh, what?
And don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate all new subscribers. And if you watch this yet, or you will, be sure to comment on what you thought about the show. If you thought it was a pretty good show, and what you thought about it, and why was it good, or was there anything that you didn't like about it? Okay? So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.